Hi, thank you so much for coming back. If you're new here, welcome, and please do consider hitting that subscribe button. Now today I want to answer questions that you guys have been asking me over the past 4 weeks. I've been doing this series where I'm talking to you guys about reasons why you should come teach in Thailand, what to expect, what to bring, what to prepare, and things like that. And some of you reached out to me on my Facebook account and you asked me a few questions, and so most of them pertain to CVs, and so that's what I'm going to be tackling in this video, as well as some of the questions that you should ask your potential employer before you actually accept the job. All right, so if you've been following this series or if you're interested in this, stick around until. My name is Nancy Obonyo. I currently live and work in Thailand, and this is what I'm going to be talking to you guys about. Now I'm going to be starting with CVs, and I'm just gonna open my CV to reference. So with every region the CV format is different, and so that applies to this region. And so if you're not from here, then this is how you should tailor your CV. Okay, now personally I put my personal information as a header. I don't want that space wasted. You want to keep your CV as short as possible, because again, these people are looking at so many CVs. No one is going to want to look at like a 3-page CV or even a 2-page CV. If you can make it 1 page, perfect. All right, so I put my personal information as a header: my name, what I am, chemical engineering graduate, teacher, researcher, my address in Thailand or whatever you are, and then I put my email address, my LinkedIn account, and my telephone number. That's it. If they want to know any more, then they can ask. All right, and then after that, immediately after that, I have a professionally taken picture. Well, I took it using my phone, but it looks very professional. It's a passport size photo of me on the right hand side. I know this is very different with different regions. As I said, if in my country, if I were to put my picture on a CV, like, what are you doing? Do you think you're going to be the face of something? Are you modeling? What are you doing? No. But in Thailand, this is very important. They actually ask you, and this is something that you should not find weird. They will ask you. It's actually in the Thai law that a school can ask for your photo. And I'm going to attach the Thai law for teaching, labor law for teaching, here in the description below, right? And then after that, again, I have a small summary about my education background as well as my experience, something just nice and precise to just get someone's attention. Yeah, let's say I have a degree in this, I have an MBA in this with a GPA of this, and then I have experience in teaching, program what is this, program support management, data information analysis, whatever. Okay, so you again write something that is relevant to what you're applying for. I don't need to say that when you're writing your CV, you always have to make it for the job that you're applying for. So you look at the job description and then put exactly what they want on it. You don't want to sabotage yourself. And then immediately after, I have education, because this is very important. I only have my bachelor's and my postgrad. I don't put my high school because I don't think that is relevant at all. Okay, and then after that, I have experience. Now with experience, again, you want to put that experience that is most relevant to the job that you're applying for. Again, make your CV to match the job that you're applying for. Okay, in my case, if I was applying for a teaching job, then I have my my current school at the top, right? And then followed by the other school, and then followed by all the other relevant experiences that I have. I've practiced as an engineer before, but that stuff comes last. I want to put that in because if I'm going to teach math, they need to know this. I'm kind of good at math. So anyways, you want to put all these things, information, put the relevant stuff. Also, the one thing I need to tell you guys, and I feel like most people know this, you don't want to say you're hardworking, you're good at, you're persistent and things like that. No, you don't want to put that. That is stuff that is required of you as a teacher. To manage your time, that is something that is required of you. Okay, make your CV results oriented. Your experience part results oriented. Make them like you want to stand out. Like for example, my first point here is achieved learning goals consistent with Thai standards. Okay, also like created innovating learning materials for effective learning, especially if you're doing your own curriculum. You want to include things like this, you know. As I said, you want to stand out. All right. And then the other thing with the experience, if you are a teacher or you taught before, you want to make this as quantifiable as possible. Yeah, if you increase the passing rate from say 75 to 80%, include these things. You know, it makes you look good. And then, as I said, yeah, so you put the most relevant and then you go to the least relevant, so that you don't have gaps in your history, employment history. You know, people wonder, why is this person not employed? You know, yeah, so that's about it. And then after that, I have leadership. I don't know which job I was applying for, but I had like leadership stuff from the latest leadership role I had to the oldest. And then I have computer skills, also any other skills again that is relevant to the job you're applying for, as well as achievement in this. I didn't put references because again, you don't want to make your CV long. All right, that's about CVs. Now let me tell you the questions that you should ask before you actually take a job. I wrote them down somewhere. So the number one thing you want to ask is, what's the curriculum like? You know, will you have one, or will you be required to make one? And if you will be required to make one, are they providing textbooks, or do they have like a set standard of how you should make your program, you know, your curriculum, I mean? So you need to be able to be clear about these things. And while you're at that, you might also want to ask about the facilities in the school. You know, are they going to be providing computers? Are they going to be providing projectors? You know, what do they have at your disposal? You know, you want to know this. And as I already mentioned before, that international schools will have the most and the best facilities, followed by private schools and then government schools. So if you are someone who's going into a government school, you want to know what you're working with, you know, so that you're not shocked when you get there. Okay? And then number two is ask how many students you're going to have in a class. Now, this is very important. Again, as I said, most government schools will have the most number of students. I have never worked at an international school, so I don't know how many students they have per se, but in a private school, not as many. The class would range between 10 and 30. Right, with 30 being the most number of students. But for a government school, you get as many as 40 students in a class. So you might want to ask that. Also, you might want to ask the background of the student. You know, do you have mixed ethnicities, or do you only have Thai students? You know, so you know what you're getting yourself again into. All right. And then number three is, how many hours a week are you required to work? Now, important again. If you're going to have a class of 40 students and you're going to work 40 hours a week, prepare yourself, just like brace yourself, you know. But I have to say that I've been quite lucky, you know. My former school, I worked for like 20 hours a week. But now I work for 15 hours a week, which is essentially, actually, it's only 13 hours a week, because the 2 periods I'm only required to assist another colleague during a subject that is very practical. Okay, so yeah, ask that. Also, the Thai labor law says that any school that hires you has a legal right to demand that you work for 48 hours a week. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot, but you should know that. And as I said, I'm actually going to link the labor law, a link to the labor law, so that you can read that if you are interested. The other one is also ask if you're required to do any other duties apart from teaching duties. You know, you can be required to do camp, you know, English camps. You know, so many Thai schools have this. You go for camp whereby students participate in different activities out of school. You know, mine is very nice. Yeah, my school is very nice. The last camp we went to, we went to Pattaya by the beach. We stayed at a really, really nice resort. It's all catered for, guys. So it's very nice, and like play around with the kids, swim and things like that. I'm not complaining about this. Really, I'm not. And then also some schools, I hear that some schools require you to stand by the gate and say hi to parents as they bring their kids. And also, this one is very particular to my school. We have to do assembly. Every teacher has to do assembly, meaning you run an entire assembly. Now what you do is, this reminded me of a very funny story that I'm going to tell you guys. What you do is you're meant to prepare a topic that you're interested in. It doesn't have to do with school, just anything that you're interested in, and tell the kids about it, you know. And for me, the very first time I did maths, I know, but I tried to make it interesting. You know, one of those things. Think of a number, do it this, and your answer is this, and the kids' heads are like blown. You know, actually, let me do it with you guys. You know, it starts with think of a number. Okay, think of a number. Multiply that number by 3. Okay. Now, add your answer to 45. Now, once you've done that, multiply the result by 2. Okay, and then divide by 6. Now, this answer subtracts the original number you thought about. Your answer should be 15. Mathematician. If you're someone who did calculus, you know what I did. You know what I did. It's not magic, but if you don't know, I'm a magician. Anyways, I was talking about, okay, so I did this with them, and then together with this, we have a really cool system, like a really cool reward system, whereby we reward kids according to their abilities, or rather according to what they've done throughout the week. It's called Star of the Week. Now, what you do is recognize the kids that have done really well. Like, for example, in math, I say, like, this kid stood out for me because they did this and that and that and that. Or this kid stood out for us in science, or in health, or in social, or in integration, or in computer, you know. So you recognize every kid according to their abilities. And this is very important because, again, rewarding people really just does a long way in motivating them. And what I like about the system is that it doesn't focus only on the kids or are they really good at math, or really good at science, or really good at English and things like that. It actually brings everyone together, you know, because as I said, there's this subject we call integration that is mainly practical. It really helps kids think out of the box. It just awakens their creativity, you know. They make things with their hands, they color things, they come with different ways of doing things. It's very, as I said, very, very practical, brings out the creativity in kids. You know, it celebrates their diversity, you know. So if someone is not really good at math, they're not gonna get a certificate for math, but they might get a certificate for integration. So I really like this because it doesn't leave any kid behind, and it just goes a long way in just celebrating the as I said, the diversity of kids. It's very important. I really hope that we would emulate this from this system. All right, now let's get back to the story, the funny story. Okay, also within the classes, within the grades, they're divided into groups, and you know, the kids, they always want to be in the best performing group. They always like recognize which group is doing really well, which group is well behaved in class. You know, if a kid is misbehaved, we take points from their group. So again, it goes back to like classroom management, like a really clever way of managing your class. Now these groups for last year, they were dinosaurs, guys. I don't know anything about dinosaurs, but they had me pronouncing things like Stegosaurus, Velociraptor. Even now I cannot pronounce it. That day I couldn't pronounce any of these dinosaurs, you know. But anyways, I stumbled. The kids had a field day. They laughed so bad, but that is that. Okay. The other thing you want to ask is, will the school pay for your permit? You know, most Thai schools, they pay for your work permit. They don't pay for your visas, but they pay for your work permit. So you really want to know that. And then also you want to know if they'll give you insurance, you know, medical cover, accident cover, things like this. You want to know if your school is gonna give you that. And then the last one is, maybe you want to ask about the salary range. Most of them put a salary with the job applications, but if they don't, just ask them what their range is, you know, but be smart about it. You don't want to come across as someone who's just money hungry. All right, anyways, that's all I had for you guys today. I hope you found this informative, interesting, and I hope to see you next time. All right, bye bye, and